Hey guys, welcome back to this tutorial. This is part 2 of the loading circles tutorial. In the first one we created this one like this, sort of inspired by the Wii. Then there's this sort of more kind of clean version where if I just play this through, this is the one we'll be doing today. It's kind of goes slow and fast and slow and fast, okay? Then next tutorial will be just this very basic one, and then finally we've got this Apple Mac one which we'll be animating in tutorial 4. So without further ado, let's have a quick look at this. I've got a royal blue solid behind, and then I've simply got this shape layer where I use trim paths to get rid of this bit, and then we've got an animation on the offset, and we actually go into the graph editor. So if I highlight these and come back into the graph editor, we actually modify this in here to get a kind of very smooth animation, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go to composition, new composition, loading circle 2, and I'm going to put tutorial at the end just so I know, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, so first of all I'm going to go to layer, new, and I'm going to make a solid. I'm going to go for a blue, and like I did in the first tutorial, I'm actually going to put a gradient ramp on this, and like so. So type in gradient ramp in there and click and drag it on. Then I'm going to go for a sort of a strongish kind of royal blue and very light sky blue, then something like this. So we've got that nice little fall off, and that looks quite nice. I'm going to get rid of that bit there. Okay, now I've also got this title actions safe on here. If you want to turn this on, just come to here and enable title action safe. It just lets me know where the center point is. Now with this blue solid, I'm going to right click and rename to BG for background, and I'm going to lock this so whenever I'm clicking in here, I'm not actually moving the layer, because if it wasn't locked, obviously we're going to move it. So just click that padlock and we're all good. And the next thing I want to do is I want to get this ellipse tool, and I want to take the fill off. So I'll hit the word fill and set that to none, and I want a stroke of white, and I'll click OK, and I want this to be not 45, I want it to be about 20. Okay, now I'm going to bring my sort of ellipse tool to this as central as I can, something like that's fine, and when I click I'm going to hold Control and Shift, or Command and Shift, and that'll just make it go outwards at a uniform kind of way. So something like that is going to be fine. So here I've got my simple ellipse. Now if I were to go to add and go to trim paths, well, it looks as if it's done nothing, but we've got this little trim paths animator by here. Okay, so if I were to go and play around with the start, you can see we could animate this on as a kind of loading progression kind of bar, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to take this to 10%. So if it was at 0, it would be full, but we're going to put it at 10, so we're missing this little chunk by here. Okay, and that's good because we can now animate this offset, so this is going round, and it's more or less kind of that simple. So I'm going to hit the stopwatch here, and I'm going to come forward, I think, let's come forward to 1 second, and then I'm going to move this offset all the way around till it gets back to here, which is, well, 1 revolution. I'm also going to hit N on the keyboard. Okay, so now that's going to snap it to there. I'm actually going to come back 1 frame by hitting the page up button and hit N again, so it kind of stops dead here. So now if we play this through, we've just got a looping animation. Okay, that's actually going a little bit fast, so what I may do is I may come to 1 second, come out 10 frames by holding Shift and page down, and I'm going to move this out to 10 frames, and I'm going to come backwards by hitting page up, so backwards 1 frame, and hit N, so it plays up until this point. So now we've got this looping animation like so. Okay, that's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both of these, and I'm actually going to come into my graph editor, and don't let this kind of confuse you. If we hit U, it'll show just this, and we'll click our offset so we can see it here. Now what we're going to do is click and drag to highlight them both, and we're going to hit this. It's called Easy Ease, And we're also going to hit this icon to fit graphs to view, so it'll fit it all in there. Now let's give this a playback and let's see what we're working with. So you can see that it's nice, but it stops at the easy ease is kind of making it stop because what's happening, if in case your view is different, by the way, all you need to do is go edit speed graph, or that's the view you might be seeing, or edit value graph is the one I'm in, okay? So basically by here you can see that it's over the period of a few frames it doesn't actually move that much, and that also happens right at the end, okay? Right at the end we're there, so when it loops back to the beginning it's got probably about 8 frames where it's actually not moving much, so that's why when we play it through it's kind of staying there for a bit. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is click this first point and drag this back just to about here, and drag this one back just to about here, okay? And that's not going to fix it, that's going to kind of shorten the amount of time it's there. The bit we do next is going to kind of fix it, okay? So now with this I'm going to pull this just up a little bit and then maybe pull it back out, but just pull it up off that bottom line. And with this one I'm going to pull it down, but also pull it out a little bit as well, so you've still got a bit of an S-curve. So let's see what's going on now. So that's a little bit better. It hovers there for less. I'm probably just going to keep on playing around with these. Maybe pull this one down just a touch more and out. And like that. Now let's give that a go. That's looking a little bit better. It's hovering now a little bit less. And it's got that kind of, when it comes down to the bottom bit, you can see it's going a lot faster here than it is up there. Okay, so that you can carry on playing around with these and tweaking them. I'm actually going to leave mine round about there, maybe a little bit more down here and a little bit more up there. It's more or less, it gets quite linear now, but you have got that little, it's nice to have a little kind of slow down up there. And I'm just going to bring that up a little bit just to give it, I want it to pause there a little bit, but not too much. There you go, that's looking nicer. So just tweak around with these really until you get something that you think looks nice. And then the last thing I'm going to do is turn on motion blur for the shape layer. Should actually rename this to load in circle, like so. So turn on the motion blur for that layer and for the comp, and you'll see as I do that you've just got these little kind of motion swings. So there should be a little bit more motion blur by the time we get down to the bottom. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit more than when we're up here. Yeah, so that shows that there's faster movement down here, only very subtle. So that's how you make that one. Obviously you can go ahead and you can add a drop shadow like we did in the first tutorial if you want to, but I'm actually going to leave that one there. I wanted this one to be quite simplistic. So cheers for tuning into this video. Make sure to check out the other UI ones or some of the other videos. Give us a subscribe, a like, that'll be helpful. And also feel free to check us out on our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and I'll catch you again. Cheers.